Hello everyone and welcome to the 6th installment of the Saab 900 revival. We ended the previous episode with the engine showing its first signs of life, but it wasn't exactly running smoothly. After a call for you guys' help, I'm hoping that we can resolve this issue and continue on our journey. Prepare for an episode filled with a thumbs up, running into an old friend, and vibrating issues. Something is up with this clutch.
All my friends, yellow rider.
At the end of the previous episode, I did a request to get you guys' help so that we could figure out the issue with the Saab together. And boy, did you guys come through. There were hundreds of comments with suggestions as to what the issue might be, and it is so amazing that so many of you were motivated to help me, which is really nice. So thank you to each and every one of you who has commented on that video. But there was one comment that stood out and which actually gave me the fix. I think it was made by somebody named Ollie. So Ollie, if you're watching this, thank you very much. And he quickly pointed out that I messed up the order of the spark plug cables on the distributor. On all of my other cars, the rotor inside of the distributor moves in a clockwise fashion, which means that the spark plug cable order should be 1, 3, 4, 2. That is what I did in the previous episode, and it was my mistake because actually this rotor turns in an anti-clockwise fashion. So that meant that I needed to adjust the spark plug cables to 1, 3, 4, 2. It is a bit of a rookie mistake and I take full responsibility for it. The reason why I think I didn't come up with that immediately is because I wasn't very confident in my carburetor rebuilds, as I had never dealt with them before. And also I am still surprised that the engine turned and idled as well as it did with the firing order that messed up. But yeah, we learned something, and now let me show you how well this engine turns. And look, no more smoke. And the alternator is charging. I still have to do some fine-tuning on the mixture and maybe even the ignition as well. But still, it is running very nicely, much better than in the last episode, so I am stoked. The engine sounds pretty healthy, but just to be sure, we're going to do a compression test. Knowing that this engine has done 300,000 kilometers, those values are definitely acceptable to me, so I think we are good in that department. Now we're going to take a look at the thermostat, because apparently I made a mistake there as well. And at the same time we are going to drain out all the tap water and put in proper coolant. Let's have a look-see. Nice. Okay, so now I see that I forgot to put this edge into this little slot. I think that is better, and something to note is that there still is a bit of blue goo on the O-ring. I did reuse it because I forgot to order another one, and this one still is in excellent condition. The blue stuff only doesn't really want to scrape off, so I'm just going to leave it there. Let's open up the bleed nipple. And now some fresh coolant. Okie dokie. Next, I'm going to start up the engine to bleed out the last of the air bubbles, and I also want to check if the fan will kick on. Right underneath of that intake hose there is a thermo switch that should switch at 90 to 95 degrees Celsius, and we're actually going to hotwire it right now to see already if the fan is working. Excellent. So if the thermal switch is working, the fan should kick on at some point. So let's start the car and see. Well guys, I think if the brakes and the clutch are doing their job as they are supposed to, we can go for a cheeky little drive on my driveway. Let's go! Zippy! Wow! Something is up with this clutch. So overall, I would say that the first drive was a success. The power steering felt great, the brakes also surprisingly did well. The only thing I've got mixed feelings about is the clutch. You've probably seen in the video, once I set off, the whole car starts to shake around, the gear lever is very wobbly, and I think the exhaust also hits the body, so something is definitely up. I do have the impression that the clutch is doing what it is supposed to. It grabs on very well. So maybe it has something to do with a failed engine mount or something, but we're going to investigate that right now. Right here is the first engine mount. That looks completely shot. Here is the trans mount. That looks a bit old, but okay. And then on the driver's side there's another mount, but yeah, that's going to be hard to film. Yeah, that one is also shot. So that means I can put 2 engine mounts on my to order list. While we wait for the engine mounts to come in, I think it is a good idea to take a look at the brake booster now, because as I have explained in one of the first videos on this car, one of the studs that holds the master cylinder in place has broken off, which means that it moves about quite a lot when you press the brake pedal. Let me show you. So let's try and take this thing off. It is just one vacuum hose, one nut here, and I think 4 nuts on the inside. Now 4 nuts here. And this little pin slides out. It almost looks like this stud is retractable, so I'm going to see if I can get it out. The stud broke off, so I think we're going to move to plan B. Okay, so I am in a bit of a pickle because I was hoping that all of these parts would be interchangeable, but apparently they are not. This is the brake master cylinder and the brake booster of the green car. This is of the gray car. My plan was to put this master cylinder on the brake booster of the gray car, but as you can see, that sadly isn't possible. So then I thought maybe I can use this combination, but this master cylinder definitely isn't in very good shape, so that would need revision as well, or replacement. So what I am going to do, I think, is look for another brake booster of this type, and then I'm going to reuse this master cylinder because I think it has been rebuilt. But it looks like these ones are pretty hard to come by, and if you find a new example, they are like 400 euros, which is way more than I want to spend. So I think I'm going to be on the hunt for a good used example. That is sadly going to take some time, but we have some other work to do in the meanwhile because the new engine mounts have arrived. Okay, so I think I'm going to start this job underneath the car. There are 2 nuts right over there and 2 here. So I'm going to undo those 2, and now that I'm looking at the underside of the car, maybe we first are going to give it a quick clean. Brake cleaner Akimbo should do the trick. Not perfect, but much better already. Okay, so we have effectively undone these two nuts on both sides. Now we just have to take out the large bolt and then create enough space so that everything can move out of its place. On this side, I think I'm going to move the power steering pump out of the way. That gives us a little more room. Okay, so the nut is loose. Now I'm going to try to support the engine from underneath, and then hopefully I have enough space to take the engine mount out. That should do it. Et voila! And the new one going in. Putting in the bolt first and then dropping the engine down into place did not work, so now I put the engine mount already in position, and then we're going to drop the engine over it. That's good enough for now. I have put on the nuts, but just at the beginning, so that we still have some movement in the engine mount for when we're doing the other one, but at least now it can't pop out of place anymore. And here is the other one. And the new one going in. Both the engine mounts are installed, and I'm very curious to know if that solved our clutch issue. But to be able to drive the car, first we have to deal with the brake booster situation, and I actually came up with a solution for that. As I explained before, I had to go on the hunt for a new brake booster, and actually pretty quickly I found a very good used one. I'm going to clean it up a little bit before we're going to throw it into the car. It came with this master cylinder, but just to play it safe, I'm going to use this one because I know for sure that it works. Here is the new unit, and now let's throw it in. The brake system is back together. I also bled everything, so now we can go for another test drive to see if our engine mounts have fixed our vibrating problem or not. I am convinced that changing the engine mounts has really made a difference, but unfortunately it hasn't completely fixed our issue. So I think the next step is going to be to open up the clutch assembly and see if we can find an issue there. But that is going to be for the next episode, and additionally I also want to start with the rust fixes, so it should be a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing, and I hope to see all of you in the next one.